So writing an absolute value inequality given a graph on a number line. So these problems, remember, absolute value is the distance from 0. So we're talking number of spaces, and we're really looking at, ooh, is there symmetry here? Do we have the same stuff in both things? So if I'm looking here, I am 4 spaces, and I am 4 spaces from 0 here. So it's not like I've shifted from that origin. So this is my middle. Occasionally I would be adding or subtracting, making a bigger inequality, in which case it's going to have more parts to that inequality, looking at where it's spinning around. In this case, it's just straight. 0 is the middle, so it's going to be an absolute value. So they're both 4 spaces, so we do have absolute value of something, and then we have the 4. All right, so we do know that 4 is there. We know it's or equal to. And now we have to decide with which variable. They say x for the variable. So I'm going to rewrite this a little neater. Okay, so I have the absolute value of x because it is pivoted around the 0. So absolute value of x. And I know both of the numbers are at 4. And they're closed circles, so there's the line under the inequality. Now I just have to know if I need x to be bigger than the 4 spaces or smaller than the 4 spaces. And to do that, I look at the positive one. Okay, and look at the positive, so the 4. So I'm 4 spaces, and I'm at 4. And the shaded is bigger than that. So I need to say I need to be more than 4 spaces. So that is where I'm going to have the absolute value has to be more than 4 spaces from 0. So remember, absolute value is number of spaces from 0, and in this case my shading has to be more than 4 spaces. If I was doing the negative part, I mean looking at it and I'm saying x is going to be less than, so it would also have the less than, it's smaller than that. So it does work out. It goes with our graph. Our graph, if I'm looking at it that way, would be x is this is less than or equal to 4, negative 4, and x is greater than or equal to 4. I can't put it in order looking at it because it looks weird because there's a gap. So if I did like negative 4 is greater than or equal to x is greater than or equal to 4, most math people will never write it that way. They like less thans, or they like the variable first. That is the general statement of how variables work with inequalities. So that gives me the same thing. We're going to do one more looking at it. Actually, we're going to do 2 more. So this one, we're double checking also that the 0 is dead center in the middle. So this is 3 spaces, and this is 3 spaces. So I know I have absolute value of x, and I know it's going to be 3 spaces, and now there is no underlining with it because they're open circles, and I'm looking at the positive ones. My x is bigger, so it is going to be greater than 3. Okay, then looking again, we've got one more to do. So if we're looking at the 0 here, I have 7 spaces, and I have 7 spaces here. It's all symmetrical. And so I know absolute value of x, and I have 7 spaces, and I'm looking at the positive one, and x is smaller than that, so it's going to be less than, and it's not or equal to because they're open. So absolute value of x is less than 7.